Hello everybody, and let's take a quick look at BTC and see where we are actually going. Now what I like to do, I always like to start with a blank chart. So I just drew this trend line here to see if we can hold this trend line. And I can see that we are actually holding this trend line. We can see we are bouncing again on this area. And so we are on support. We're definitely on support because we can see that we have previous highs and we are right now on this previous high that is also coming in conflict with this trend line that I simply drew from the previous low in touch with this last low. And now what I like to do is I'll draw just perfect. This is the fixed range volume and we can see we are on support. So now basically what we are doing, we are simply ranging, and we can see that easily right here, right? So now there are also people doing things like this at the moment, drawing these triangles, which I do see them, but it's simply, they're simply like, if you know market structure, it would just make more sense in my opinion, because how do you trade these triangles? Or how do people trade this triangle? Well, usually either it breaks on top or it breaks below, right? So above or below. Well, the way I see it, instead of having this triangle, I simply, let's remove this, is simply because this high is higher than the previous one. So we break market structure and we go above, simply as that. And same will go here. If we break and we go lower, we simply took this low, so we expect this. So that's why people just look at triangle this way, but it's actually just market structure. But so this is not a good area. We are on the daily time frame, by the way, but this is not really a good area to look for trades because we have no idea where the price might go. It could break above or could break below, right? So how can we understand, what can help us understand where the price might go? What I do, I look at the oscillator. So what I use here is the oscillator from ChartPrime, sorry. One of the best oscillator in my opinion in the market. If you want to try them out, I leave the link in the description. You have 7 days risk-free trial. It's, in my opinion, it's literally one of the best indicators. And you just need to try them all out and you see what works best for you. But for me, I really understand this very well. Like, it makes me money, so I like it. Anyway, what we can see here is the fact that we have green money flow. So this in green here is the money flow and it's green. So I don't care much about the fact that it is going down because we are still in the green, and it was going down because we had a downtrend, small downtrend. But now at the moment we are posturing to the upside and we are crossing the zero line. So for this reason, I believe we could come higher and maybe we break that triangle that we just saw before to the upside. Now we also see the true 7, this red line right here. Let me see if I can zoom in. See this line, the true 7 is also posturing to the upside, and if we cross this zero line, that's a good sign and we can definitely look for a longs trade. Now we are in the red here. This shows us the trend, but we have a lot of confluence here that is telling to go higher, and this might turn green in a little bit. And then if I zoom out a little bit more, we can see here, this is also tell us about the trend. We can see how this red, the more red, you say the more red, yeah, the more red it is, the stronger the trend, the downtrend. Now we can see how it is fading away, meaning that probably the downtrend is over, and we could start seeing some green lines right here telling us that the uptrend is starting. We need to wait for that, but for now this looks kind of bullish on the daily time frame. Now remember, we said we are on support because we can see here simply we are on previous highs, and if I pull the fixed range volume as I did before, we are on support. We can see here. So maybe if I pull another fixed range volume, I believe from this previous range high, yeah, then expectations probably could be that that's why we are fighting back. You see all this wick right here? We are fighting to enter this range. But if we close above right here, again, a second candle, we might expect entering this previous range right here. I mean, this is something that I expect. And then we will be ranging here and then eventually break above or below. We need to wait for that. But this is for shorter time frames. Now in the daily, let's just take a look at this and then we look later into a shorter time frame. Now, as I said, so we're going up. This is on the daily. Let's check on the weekly what is happening, because I saw something before and I want to share it with you. So we are definitely overextended to the upside. It doesn't matter how you want to see it, but if we do this, which everybody's hoping for, it's not sustainable. And just simply look at this. This is not sustainable. Like, you don't see this that often in the chart, right? You don't see that often in the chart. So this is not sustainable. So for that reason, we have to be realistic, and try to understand where we could go. Now, I expect a few things by looking at the oscillator again. So let's just zoom in into the oscillator. What we can see here is that obviously we printed a bearish divergence. We can see how the green here is fading away and we are posturing to the downside. Now what we see here is what the ChartPrime community calls it as a goose ad. So something like this, just like here, and then it goes down. Now when we see this, just like here, and let me see a better one here, or even at the bottom, let's see, maybe we can see it here. What do we see when we see this kind of things? Maybe this is not a really good one. Let's take this in. I want to see what I want to do with an uptrend. Whatever. Anytime we see this sort of things, because this is the perfect one, we see this going down, this going lower, the oscillator going lower, and the price doing something like this. It creates an high, then we have the last sweep of the highs, and then we come down. So when we see this, they call it flip of the ribbon, right? So the goose head creates this flip. This is what they call the ribbon. Is the momentum bands. It's called the ribbon. This creates this in the price. Obviously, it's not always, but very often this happens. So what we can expect? Let's go and take a look at the chart. So we created this high. As I said, we could expect something like this and then go lower. Now, what I saw that I think is important to mention is the fact that we see the money flow coming higher. You can see this here, right? The money flow is coming higher, this green area right here. So it's coming higher, and the momentum band seems that it wants to come lower. So when this happens, I see this as a sort of indecision, is kind of imbalance also, because it doesn't know one thing wants to go lower and the other one wants to go higher. So in the price, in the market, this happened. It just started ranging because it doesn't know where it want to go. Now, and let's see. If we look at this goose head, as I talked to you before, we can see this. It went down, then up again, took this high, and then it went down. Well, this is something that we could see also here now. And these are the two scenarios that I am expecting in the long term. So big, we are in the weekly, right? Remember that. We can see this happening. So we can see this range that would make sense because, as I said, one, it's coming higher, the money flow is coming higher, and the momentum band is coming lower, indecision, and so simply ranging. So this trend line that we see here, we can actually delete it, but we leave it for the shorter time frame that we're going to look at it later. So ranging right here, and then potentially that bounce that we are are expecting, or maybe we go to 0, who knows, right? But this is scenario A that I think, and I kind of hope it will happen. So scenario A. And then the second thing is, let me just move this a second. And then the second thing is simply, if I pull a fib level, so a Fibonacci, we can see how here, this is just makes sense. It's a healthy market structure. If we come down here to the golden pocket 786 area, and then we bounce, that would be much healthier. And what we also have here is the previous highs right here, come here, plus we have this fair value gap right here. I just marked it out for you. So fair value gap, golden pocket area, previous highs. This would make a lot of sense. And if, let's just project this, if this happened, right, we expect this to come lower, and then eventually we could see this bounce on the 0 line, which would be a very strong reversal, because every time we have a reversal on a support, it's very strong. So this would be scenario B, and this obviously, both A and B can take a long time to happen, right? Because if we see this right here, let me just take a look on how long it was. This was 77 days, so more than 2 months, right? So same thing here. If this happened, could take more than 2 months. So we could be ranging for more than 2 months, or we could have simply this right here. Let me see, the last sweep of the highs, and then we go down. So we could see something like this. Maybe, let's say this happens. Let's say the exact same thing happens. Let me just make a little bit shorter, like this, right? And then let me just do actually like this. Sorry, guys. Let me just do this. Right, if this happens, then this downtrend could take also more than 2 months, right? 70 days, we can see right here. So these are things that could happen. Now, scenario A, in my opinion, it's more likely to happen. So we'll be ranging right here, which means we are still going lower. We are still going for 95,000. And then we stock, and we are remaining this range right here, sort of. Or again, we can go lower to 86, right? So these are the two scenarios. Otherwise, something super crazy. Maybe we get good news. I don't know. Something happens that would make the war stops, and then we can see this beautiful uptrend starting. But yeah, this would be C. So A, B, and C. These are my 3 scenarios that I'm waiting for. And yeah, that's it. Now let me just delete this very quickly, and we go into a shorter time frame to see also how I trade in the shorter time frame. Now, what do we have here? Let me just delete this. Now, in the shorter time frame, what we see here is, okay, we are going lower. Let me just pull the beautiful indicators, because I use these indicators to trade. So we are crossing the dynamic reactor, I can see here. So we're crossing this green line, the dynamic reactor. So we are coming lower. We're definitely going lower also with the oscillator. That is good. And where are we stopping? Well, what I like to do is, let me just take this off. Okay, we are on the golden pocket area 786. So I just mark this out like this. On the pocket 786. So here we could see, we could wait for a reversal, something like this. And we want to see in confluence with this, a flip of the ribbon. So when we see this, then we could look for a trade. The fact that we are in the green right here, telling us that we are still in an uptrend. And if I draw a trend line, let me just, there we go. If we do this, then this becomes a strong area of support. And let me just check if we have definitely an order block coming right here. Let me just turn this on. Okay, we have an order block right here and an order block lower that we could come later in the day to come and pick it and grab it. But for now, this would be the trade. Obviously, guys, remember, wait for confirmation. So let me just give you this and we can come and check it out later. So we obviously stop loss below the lows and the target above to these previous highs. It's not a great risk to reward, but eventually it could play it out nicely because we are in a strong uptrend right here, what we can see here. So yeah, if you want to have the levels, this, remember guys, is never financial advice. This is what I will do if the market shows and gives me the opportunity to enter. So remember, if you want to enter this in this area, wait for, I don't know, a change of character. So we're going down and then we see this, so this high taken. If you want to see all of these things, let me know in the comments. I will explain everything, but wait for confirmation before entering any trade. And thank you for watching, guys. See you guys in the next one.